Hey, what's up? It's GW coming to you live. Hey, you guys, I normally don't get on here and talk about movies, but believe me, I got something to tell you guys. So, I got a little bit tired of American cinema, right? So, I jumped over and I was interested in the Japanese horror flicks, samurai stuff, whatever. So I stumbled across this movie. You guys may or may not have seen it if you're into that type of thing. It's called Tokyo Gore Police. And when I started reading about it, they said that it was bloodier than Peter Jackson's Dead Alive. And I'm thinking, there is no way, right? That this thing is that gory. Guys, it is. I'm telling you right now. Um, This thing takes blood and gore to a whole new level, times it by 30, throws it in your face, and then laughs at you. But this movie, I will tell you this movie is so over the top ridiculous with its violence. It cannot be taken seriously, but it's wow, guys, what can I say? So So it stars Ihai Shina. And you guys, if you guys ever watched Takashi Miike's audition, she's the girl that ends up torturing the guy. She has a hell of a good performance. She plays Ruka. Ruka is essentially a police officer in the future who is tasked to kill engineers. Now, engineers are biologically enhanced Japanese soldier or monsters, if you will. So her whole mission is to kill these monsters. And it actually makes for a very good video game sort of premise. And actually, it reminded me of, like, every time she goes up against an engineer, it reminded me of, like, a Dark Souls slash Stellar Blade slash Bayonetta sort of deal. But the whole premise is she's supposed to track down these things, and she's on a revenge trip for the person who killed her father. Now, this is not in English, guys. You can watch it on Tubi, and I recommend watching the original version with the subtitles. But I gotta tell you, I mean, I did record this movie a long, long time ago, and I never watched it because it gets so ridiculously over the top that I thought it was, fake-ish or stupid. But to be dead honest, this got to be one of my favorite gory flicks because as cheap as it is and as over top of it as it is and as gory as it actually tries to be something that just didn't have enough money to complete. The character of Ruka is just amazing. She has hardly any lines. She carries the movie as good as Nicolas Cage does in a non-speaking role. And basically the movie is just pure splatter fun. With that, I will tell you it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. There are acts of violence in here that just defy the human brain. But the story is pretty good. You could make a couple video games out of this. And I really liked it. There's also a lot of controversial stuff in here besides violence. There's a scene that's in a sex club that will defy logic and make your head spin, and you will never forget this movie at all. I'm going to take a stab at this, guys. It's directed by Yoshiro Nishimura, and he did another Japanese movie called Machine Gun Girl, which is on Tubi as well. The thing that I like about this movie, other than the crazy splatter, and it does go over the top, it really does, and I can't even begin to explain to you how violent it is, but you do not want any young kids watching this thing. I'll tell you that right now. And if you were to summarize this movie, if I were to summarize it for you, it would be the early Power Rangers with katanas, blood and gore as frequent as water. There are acts of violence in this that I would be here from now until the end of tomorrow trying to explain to you what it is. And it knows it's done on the cheap, and it does look like the people had a good time, and it looks like all your childhood fantasies, of a very wicked gore movie come to life. And don't get me wrong, this is cheesy, this is way over the top, this is overblown, but there's something cool about watching her just dispatch these monsters. I don't know what it is, or these engineers. There is a twist at the end, and there was going to be a sequel. I don't know if there ever was a sequel in play. You would have to work really hard on a sequel to really outdo this thing. To say that this thing is more gory than Peter Jackson's Dead Alive, it would be hard pressed not to. But the one thing I think is cool is that anytime, and this is just not going for this movie, but anytime there is a katana involved and there's Japanese culture, I'd find it really good. I just beat Rise of the Ronin with a character that looked sort of like Ruka. So thinking about her dispatching all these monsters is pretty awesome. Aside from all the blood and gore, which is the big hoopla, this really does take things to a 20 plus max limit in terms of gore. And of course it's not rated, because if it did, it would be probably rated G for gallons of gore. But it does get really ridiculous toward the end of the film. And like I said, it's like Power Rangers on a bad acid trip. And like I said, there's something pretty cool about it. Now, there is a couple of things that make you realize this movie's just sort of tongue-in-cheek. And that is the fact that when you watch it, there is some slow-mo stuff. There's some crazy camera cuts. There's also good shots of Tokyo at night. There's also, like, when you watch Ruka, especially in the first 10 minutes, she dispatches a engineer with chainsaw hands, and it reminds you of the first boss battle in a major video game. I would pick Stellar Blade because same thing. It's on a high rise. You're fighting a monster. It's pretty wicked. But the shots of Tokyo are pretty good. The story's actually pretty decent. And Ruka does have a backstory. She does want to get to her father's death, and she has a lot of trauma. She cuts herself. And that's the other thing, real quick, I want to talk about. There are commercials sprinkled throughout this movie, like RoboCop, whenever they did the newscast right in the middle of the film. They are so offensively satirical that you can't take them seriously. One's for a wrist cutter, because suicide, they made a movie called The Suicide Club where a bunch of people jumped on a train. I didn't see it. Jumped on train tracks, got killed, whatever. There is a Wii type game where you can execute a serial killer, and it's done in all tongue-in-cheek. It's not to be taken seriously. There's also a commercial for a katana that cuts really well as the guy's committing suicide. There's an anti-suicide commercial in here. I mean, it's so offensively wrong that you just got to see it. But you better have a strong stomach. The only thing that I would say about this film is that it runs a little too long for its welcome. It's almost 2 hours. And like I said, the one standout is Ihai Shina of Audition. She makes the film worthwhile. And the picture for this movie is great. It's her standing, and behind her is a samurai helmet and she's standing there with katana in tow, and it shows a cool backdrop of Tokyo. Now, I do not know if there's a sequel in play. Like I said, it would be hard pressed to really top this. And this movie, believe me, guys, is not for everybody, not even your average horror fan. You got to be a very strong stomached gore hound. And if you played enough video games, you'll probably appreciate this movie a lot more, because it does remind you of a Bloodborne or a Dark Souls type thing where there's blood everywhere and katanas are always welcome. And again, one of the fun things is this movie cannot be taken seriously. And they made a whole style of these movies. They made Machine Gun Girl, Robo Geisha, which I'm going to try to cover, because this one was actually fun. But guys, you don't want to make your wife watch this, because she will kill you and she'll ask you what the is wrong with you. I enjoyed it, but not on a level that I would recommend to just anybody. You have to have some serious tolerance to watch this, and you got to throw conventional violence out the window and say, yeah, it's playful, it's fun. And a lot of people are going to tell me that I'm sick for watching this if they watch it. But I enjoyed it, I guess, because I like the culture. I like katanas. I like a badass bitch wielding a katana. And I think she is great. And it's a 180 from her role in Audition. I do wish, and I'm going to look up if there's a sequel to this, but like I said, you would be very hard pressed to duplicate or go above and beyond the violence in this picture. There is, like I said, I can't even count how many times blood spewed like a shower head, for minutes at a time in this film. And I don't know, guys. I enjoyed it, but it was something different. And I do recommend, if you like it, get the Blu-ray, because if you watch it on Tubi, guys, you're going to get commercials. It's not good. So hopefully we're going to be checking out a serious Japanese horror film called Three Extremes. And from what I heard, it's pretty nasty stuff. But for an over-the-top zany movie, this is a drinking game, and I guarantee you that if you pop this in and play a drinking game every time she kills somebody or there's blood on the screen, you will be blitzed within 15 minutes. I guarantee you right now. But I think this was also a satire of your samurai movies. I think it was a satire of gore movies in general. And I think this was a hybrid science fiction thing that just tried to do its own thing. And like I said, you can't take this film seriously. It's cheap, it's goofy, and like I said, Power Rangers on crack with a ton of blood. And it's fun, but only for those who can engage in it. Because I know the movie's bullshitly ludicrous, but it to me was a fun watch, and I know people are going to label me as sick. Whatever. Go ahead. But I think Peter Jackson's film Dead Alive, you can't take seriously either. Come on, a man strapped with a lawnmower blade strapped to his chest. Come on now. It's not serious. You can throw conventional wisdom out the window and have outrageously stupid things happen that aren't based in reality. And that's why these movies are fun. But Tokyo Gore Police, I enjoyed it because it was something different. It was unique. And I don't know. There's just something really cool about a chick with a katana slicing through mutations. Sounds like Stellar Blade again. I don't know. So if you have a strong stomach and you want to check out Tokyo Gore Police, it's on Tubi right now. But you're going to have to deal with commercials. And sometimes they pop up in the most impromptu places because they'll cut in a pivotal scene. So I give Tokyo Gore Police, I would say 8 out of 10. I liked it, but that's me. And I've been around. I've seen The Toxic Avenger when I was 6. This is comparable to it. It's my take on Tokyo Gore Police.